Bonjour, Danny. Hello, Jason. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. First of all, Danny, how much emphasis do you put on the combine in your overall analysis of a draft class?
I mean, obviously, film speaks for itself. I mean, we spend a lot of time watching film, and that's where most of our time is, I would say, is concentrated. Having said that, the combine gives us an opportunity to see them perform live in front of us, just to see the way they interact with other teammates, the way they take in information, the way they manage a drill when they go on if there's a one-on-one, how they manage when they come out on top of it or when they come out on the short end of it, just the body language, just the whole demeanor as far as the individual is concerned. Obviously, the interview is going to be part of the process here, just to see how they handle themselves in an interview where there's going to be their head coach and football ops people that are going to they're going to be like a little bit of a rapid fire number of questions because we only have a 15-minute block. So you just get a more accurate reading of basically what you see on film, and if it transfers to the weekend that we've got before us. But it's not the end all be all. But it definitely is an indicator of maybe what we see on film. And but obviously, it's going to be something that's going to be important for us just to get a good feel for these individuals that are going to be participating here this week, and we're going to factor it in our evaluation.
Now, you have 2 first-round picks. I'm wondering, with that in mind, I mean, do you have a heightened sense of these prospects, or is that part of the process and you're nowhere near that just yet?
No, we're not. I don't think we're close. I know personally, I'm not. I know our football ops people are probably a little bit, further ahead as far as watching film and gathering the data and the information. We've had multiple meetings, but I think when we get back after this week, things are going to intensify back at the office where we're going to watch film together. We're going to definitely watch this combine. We're going to definitely call coaches. We're definitely going to call assistant coaches, even coaches in the conference that have faced off against some of these student athletes. So it's going to be interesting. We think the draft is deep enough for us to get some quality players at 5, 7, and 13. So we value these picks. It's going to be extremely important that we're on our game and that we're able to make sure that we can solidify these picks, because obviously it's not only going to impact the organization in the next few years, but it's also going to give us some cap flexibility for the next few years. So it's an extremely important time of the year for us, and we're going to have to make sure that we're on our game when the 2nd of May rolls around.
And one last, if I may, I don't know if it's fair to ask about specific prospects, but if I were to ask you about Keon Edwards, Danny, what could you tell me in a brief snippet about this young man from the University of Western Ontario?
Well, I mean, he's a complete back. I mean, he can pass protect, he can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. He can run. He can run the inside zone. He can run the outside zone. They have some moving parts plays that they do run at Western. He's had a ton of success, running those plays. Humble young man. We've had him in an interview. He's extremely engaging. He's gonna have a bright future in the CFL. There's no question about it. The only question that lays up ahead for him and for a lot of the CFL teams is, when's he going to get picked? But I think, he's got the ability to really be an interesting player at the next level, and there's no doubt in my mind that he'll earn a living here doing that in the next few years.
Merci beaucoup, and Jason will get you in a bit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Next question is from Philippe Asselin. La prochaine question est de Philippe Asselin. Vas-y, Philippe.
Bonjour, Danny. Bonjour, Danny. Bonjour, Jason.
Bonjour.
Danny, j'aimerais savoir, est-ce qu'il y a une caractéristique ou un trait de caractère en particulier que tu cherches à retrouver chez des joueurs que tu évalues pour un repêchage ou que ce soit pour embaucher sur le marché des joueurs autonomes? Y a-t-il quelque chose en particulier qui retient toujours ton attention ou que tu cherches là, chez un joueur?
La réalité, Philippe, il y a beaucoup de bons joueurs ici cette semaine. s'il y a deux choses en particulier pas que moi je cherche, mais l'organisation cherche, que ce soit moi, que ce soit Jason ou n'importe qui d'autre à l'intérieur de notre organisation, c'est le caractère et la compétition. On cherche des jeunes qui vont compétitionner tous les jours, chaque pratique, chaque séance d'entraînement, chaque répétition qui se trouve sur le terrain, chaque match. Pour nous, ça va être tellement important. Puis on cherche du caractère, du monde qui vont donner une certaine importance à l'équipe, qui vont faire qu'on peut grandir, qu'on peut bâtir avec. Des gens qui vont être des leaders à l'intérieur de notre organisation, que ce soit dans le vestiaire, que ce soit sur le terrain. Alors, le caractère et la compétition, c'est deux thèmes qu'on recherche chaque année.
Sans dévoiler tes cartes en vue du repêchage, y a-t-il une position en particulier ou un groupe de joueurs sur lequel tu as l'intention de plus cibler en vue du repêchage là, pour combler peut-être un manque dans ta formation?
Toutes les positions sauf le poste de carrière. Non, écoute, la réalité, c'est qu'on a des bons joueurs de ligne à l'attaque cette année avec la profondeur. On a des bons centres arrière. Les Canadiens, on a Phil Pott et Julian Grant. Alors, c'est sûr que si on peut aller chercher un autre Canadien au poste de receveur, ça va nous faire plaisir. Probablement sur le côté défensif, j'aimerais ajouter quelques joueurs de plus, mais on verra où on s'en va avec le repêchage. Cette semaine, les semaines qui s'en viennent, puis on va voir quand c'est notre choix, choisir au 5e tour dans la première ronde, on va voir qui est disponible.
Si je peux me permettre une dernière question, tu as mentionné le nom de Phil Pott. Je veux dire, quelle histoire incroyable, lui, en 2022. Est-ce que ça peut être un peu un exemple ou un modèle à suivre pour les prochains joueurs? Est-ce qu'il y aura un rôle au niveau du leadership à encadrer les recrues l'année prochaine avec les Alouettes?
On parle de Phil Pott?
Yeah.
Ouais, écoute, Phil Pott, nous, on le voit comme partant. Là. Oui, on va lui donner l'opportunité d'être partant au camp. Puis je pense qu'avec la saison qu'il a eue l'année passée, puis on regarde sa maturité, on parle justement de caractère, on parle de genre de compétiteur qu'il est. S'il continue de progresser, moi, je le vois comme partant, alors il va avoir cette opportunité. Alors, c'est là où le repêchage était tellement important pour nous, avec la transaction l'année passée avec Winnipeg, pour aller chercher le 9e choix au repêchage, puis d'aller le choisir. Puis le camp, la façon qu'il a progressé pendant l'année longue, c'est tellement important de ne pas manquer notre coup pendant le repêchage parce que c'est des joueurs d'impact puis des joueurs que tu peux bâtir avec.
Merci, Philippe. Merci, Philippe. La prochaine question est de Nicolas Richard. Vas-y, Nicolas. Écoutez, Nicolas.
Pardon, mon erreur. Bonjour, messieurs. Danny, dis-moi, il y a plusieurs talents québécois que tu reverras, que tu connais à ce combine. Comment tu gères cette approche-là? Est-ce que tu vas les voir plus particulièrement ou au contraire, puisque tu les connais, tu peux te concentrer sur d'autres joueurs de d'autres provenances?
Bien, dans mon cas, probablement, je vais passer moins de temps avec eux parce que je les connais, puis je connais leur coach universitaire aussi. Alors, je faisais une blague la semaine passée au bureau. Je pense qu'il me reste une autre année ou deux concernant les joueurs qui font partie du RSEQ parce que où je les coachés, où je les recrutés. Alors, je les connais assez bien. Mais moi, je vais te concentrer sur les joueurs que je connais probablement un petit peu moins. C'est celui-là qu'on va passer plus en entrevue. Mais ça va donner une chance à Jason de les connaître un petit peu plus. Parce que c'est sûr que lui, il va les voir pour la prochaine fois. Puis il va être capable de se former une opinion sur ces joueurs-là.
Maybe one for Jason. Jason, tell me, you know the quarterback. Is it easier to build a team around a QB that you know already?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you have familiarity with the quarterback, obviously there's a comfort level with what he can and cannot do and what his strengths and weaknesses will be. So yes, it's a little bit easier having a relationship already established and having coached that player. You know what he's like in meetings, you know what kind of information he can understand and how much volume he can deal with. And obviously the familiarity with a system that you would like to run. So I think you're going to see Cody hit the ground running in training camp and be out there leading us, knowing the system that we're running.
Et justement, par rapport à Cody, Danny, c'est un joueur qui, évidemment, qui va être hyper important dans votre attaque. On s'entend. Est-ce que tu l'as consulté pour justement savoir quel genre de joueur il aime, quel genre d'offensive il veut runner? As-tu parlé à Cody par rapport à ça, au prospect?
Ben, consulter concernant quel genre d'attaque on veut avoir, non, je pense que ça, c'est un travail qui appartient à notre entraîneur en chef, Jay Moss. Mais moi, écoute, j'en ai coaché quelques carrières dans ma carrière, que ce soit Ricky Ray, Anthony Cavillo ou Jason Moss. Alors, j'étais capable de l'évaluer, j'étais capable de retourner les 3 dernières années, de regarder tous ces matchs, tous ces lancers. Puis, tu sais, à part de l'année passée, les deux années avant, il y a eu du gros succès. Tu sais, une fiche de 13-5, une autre fiche de 9-5 en 2021. C'est un joueur qui est capable de te battre avec son bras. Il a un bras assez puissant. Puis, il ne faut pas oublier non plus, quand il sort de la pochette, c'est là où il devient vraiment dangereux. Mais écoute, il y a déjà une relation établie entre Jason et Cody. Puis c'est la raison principale pourquoi on voulait l'avoir à Montréal.
Parfait, merci Nicolas. La prochaine question, next question is from Dan Barnes. Please go ahead, Dan. Dan?
You said Dan Lawrence?
No, Dan Barnes. He's on the phone right now. I think you need to unmute your line. Okay, well, we'll move up to our next question and come back to Dan after. So next question is from John Hodge. Please go ahead, John.
Merci, bonjour. Danny, 2 questions for you. First one, you know that every year the top prospects in the draft always go a little bit later because of NFL interest. In 2020, for instance, you took a futures pick in Carter O'Donnell in the 3rd round. Because you have 3 selections in the first 13 picks of the draft, do you feel like you have more freedom to take a future with one of those picks?
Well, I mean, John, I just don't want to tip my hand here today as far as what our strategy is going to be in the draft. But you are right. We did take O'Donnell, but we also took Dequoy and we also took Lestage, knowing full well that they had, they were PFAs and they had an opportunity to go to training camp. And, one we got that same year that we picked them, or the following year because of the COVID year. And then with Lestage, we got him a year later. So you have to be extremely strategic when you take a look at some of these kids that are either going to get drafted late or are going to be priority free agents. And that goes into the work of football ops department. We need to call the team that drafts them or puts them under contract and see, what their plans are for these players. And then, collect all the data and then, sit down and decide, what do we want to do at 5? What do we want to do at 7? What do we want to do at 13? And do we want to pick him and sit on him, or do we want to make sure that we have someone that we're going to pick and bring to training camp? So these are all topics of conversation that I anticipate that we're going to have here over the next little while. But to answer your question, it does give us some flexibility. Yes.
My second question is regarding Tyrell Richards, who you took with the first pick in last year's draft. He played 7 games last year, had a knee issue, had, I believe, a quad issue. Are you anticipating that he'll be healthy for training camp? And if so, what do you foresee his role being in 2023?
Well, all indications are that he's 100% as we speak. If we were going to training camp next week, he should be full go. He's gonna get the green light medically to come out and compete first day of camp. And I'm a big fan of Richards. We also what we saw last year. Unfortunately, he was hit with a couple of injuries that shortened this season. But we've got big expectations for Richards. We think he can be a dominating player on special teams, and we think he can possibly have an impact on the defensive side of the ball. He's the type of guy that you can line at middle linebacker, at outside backer. You can line him up off the edge. We've seen him do it at Syracuse. And let's not forget that preseason game where he came clean to the quarterback, was able to, get to the quarterback, jostle the ball free, and we turned it into a big turnover. So he's got that big play potential. His biggest challenge is obviously to stay healthy. And if he comes in with the right mindset, which we anticipate, he should be a force to be reckoned with.
Thanks, gentlemen. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. So we have 3 more questions lined up. Please limit yourself to 1 question, and maybe if we have time, we'll come back to a follow-up. So we'll go with Derek Taylor, Paul Friesen, and then Dal Ralph. So next question is from Derek Taylor. Please go ahead, Derek.
Thank you. Jason, what gives you confidence in Cody Fajardo for the upcoming season?
What gives me confidence, having dealt with him for 2 years and 1 year of COVID, knowing the type of guy he is, the hard worker he is, knowing how he's played in games for us down the stretch of games, the preparation he's put in, the dealings with his teammates, the amount of plays I've seen him make, and the amount of games we've won with him as a starting quarterback that I've been involved with those teams. So those are many of the reasons why I believe in Cody. Another thing is, I believe in quarterbacks being smart, accurate, and tough. And I know he's smart. I know he's accurate as a passer, and he's as tough as any quarterback I've coached.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason.
No problem.
Thank you, Derek. Next question is from Paul Friesen. Please go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. I'll stick with the coach. There's been lots of player movement this off season, as there often is. A lot of quarterbacks moving too. I'm wondering if your team aside, is there do you see as a team to beat out there, or a team that's particularly intriguing with the moves they've made?
I think the CFL is so competitive. Every single year, and last year was absolutely competitive. The quarterbacks in our league are great, in my opinion, and the teams are hard to beat. So I would never label as anybody as a front runner or anything like that. Particularly this time of year, because there's so many unknowns. But I just know how difficult it is to win in this league. So regardless of what kind of team you have on paper, you got to go out and prove it each and every week. And you could throw out all the stats every game. Every game you got to play for 4 quarters. I know that's the old cliche, but our league more than any seems to come down to those last 3 minutes of every week. And and right now everybody's healthy. Everybody's going to come in with renewed vigor and spirit, and just going to be the teams that gel early and often. That's going to be the front, or the guys that finish strong at the end.
Thanks for that.
Thank you, Paul. Next and last question is from Dan Ralph. Please go ahead, Dan.
Thank you. Jace.
Dan, you're remuted yourself.
Wouldn't be the first time. Jason, your thoughts about having 3 practice sessions this year at the Combine for the first time. Is that too much of a good thing, or is that a good thing?
I think, well, it remains to be seen. I think, I think it's a great thing anytime we can see more of these athletes being coached, seeing how well they do with coaching, doing football-related drills. I think that's one of the things that I love about our combines in the past compared to any other combines I've seen in football, is we get that aspect of a one-on-one period where they're actually going and doing football activities, and now to throw that into a classroom setting, to watch them on the field practice against one another. I think you get to see that learning curve, what guys know, and everything at the Combine. What I love about it, regardless of where they play, it's apples to apples, oranges to oranges. They all come in and they're all doing the same types of things. So it's the evaluation of that is huge in my opinion. But, obviously, like Danny alluded to earlier, the film does not lie. What you see over a 4-year period in university, and then they come here and they maybe outperform someone in a 3 practice period, doesn't mean it's the best valuation tool. I just think the more you do football related activities, the better you get to evaluate at the end of the day.
Great. Thank you.
If you want to contact us by email me at candidfrank@hotmail.com. Watch us and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Candid Frank Stanishi 1030, or message me on Facebook at Candid Frank Stanishi for any ideas or comments you have about the program. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time.